Hell is Real week, and we are headed back to TQL Stadium after a short 1 week break. We hope you enjoyed your holiday last Monday, and we appreciate you turning in tonight to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, or as most of you do, listening on the podcast later this week. It's a good one as Cincinnati kicked the pants off of Montreal, but they still couldn't walk away unscathed as yellow cards get picked up that will take at least two players out of this match. Making the break a little sweeter, though, Columbus finally picked up an L after some weird stuff going on with the goalkeeper in their match. So look forward to diving into that with the guys tonight. We are going to jump right into those meat and potatoes, though. I'm Boston Brazel, joined by Brian Biedenbach, Jason Ashcraft, and Jeffrey Tebbetts. First on the docket tonight, we're going to be bringing in former FC Cincinnati goalkeeper Dallas J. Dallas doesn't need much of an introduction, but he was a part of FCC during the Open Cup run and lived very, very fun moments firsthand in our club's history. He is also fresh off two stints at TST, where he played with other former FC Cincinnati players, trying to get a little Cincinnati magic going on down in the new tournament in North Carolina. So we want to talk about the goalkeeper position tonight. Currently, things with Roman, new back line, all kinds of cool stuff that it would be better to bring in an expert and someone who's played on this team but also knows the position well versus those of us trying to spitball and figure out what's going on. So first, I'll introduce the guys. Brian, welcome in tonight. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Doing well. I was actually in Cincinnati this last weekend, enjoying some time with some old high school teammates. I had a bit of a reunion for an all-century team that was named. I got to be a part of, which was pretty exciting. So coming off a good weekend there and getting to see my kids play and coming off a training session tonight, I'm living life, man. I'm good to go tonight.
Nice. Rumor has it you picked up the idea tonight with Dallas, so shout out. Props for making the show a little more lively. Everybody is grateful they don't listen to me talk for 15 more minutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. We'll talk a little bit about that later when he comes on the show.
Yeah. All right. Jason, back in action. Ready for Hell is Real, bud?
Oh, always ready for Hell is Real. I already got the banter started today. Ready to talk about it this evening. Got some thoughts. Got some feelings. Yeah, ready to get into it.
All right. And last but not least, Jeffrey Tebbetts. How you doing, sir?
I'm feeling it this time around. Hell is Real is something that I wasn't able to experience it last time. I was overseas, but I got like a text at 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, man, we won. So at least, it's better for it to be in real time than to be on delay.
I was really happy to get to pick up the win there in Columbus. I feel like a lot's different. It's weird that, it's only been half a season, but it's almost like a completely different situation. They're coming in here, and yet somehow I feel like they're favored. And yet when we went in there, I felt really good about that match. So, I think it'll be a strange season if we are able to win in Columbus and they win in Cincinnati, and then we go to the playoffs and no one knows what happens.
Were you there? I can't remember if you went this time, Boston. Did you skip this one?
I don't think I've ever skipped this game. So I was back this year.
Okay.
And it felt so good to finally not lose there. I'm really glad I didn't skip. No, I believe what I said on the show was that I almost skipped because losing the last 2-3 years in a row, it's just been brutal, because you're just surrounded by the other fans.
The worst fans in Major League Soccer.
And then they hold you for eternity, and you got to watch them. And I guess it's similar. You know how the players run over to the Bailey, lift their hands, do the cheers and whatever. Imagine if you lose in this case, if Columbus loses, Cincinnati is going to hold them there, and then they have to watch all of that.
They had to watch it last time they had a regular season game in our stadium.
So. Yeah, that's the brutal thing about being an away fan is if you lose at TQL Stadium and you're a home fan, you just storm out. You're like, stupid game, and just go to the parking garage. No one harasses you on your way out. It's just like you just get to be miserable in your own bitterness. That doesn't happen when you're an away fan. Everybody, rightfully so, rubs your nose in it. So
See, the key is you leave before the game is over if you're an away fan, because that's what when we went to St. Louis last year, and we were just getting throttled. My wife and I were like, "Oh, well, time to walk back to the car."
I'm too scared someone will take a picture of me and put me on Twitter and be like, "See, Cincinnati fans leave early." And then I'm
you
like,
already got one
now
weirdo
I'm the-
for a Columbus.
now I'm the
podcast.
face of a quitter.
Because there's no video of you being harassed after the game. Right? That's not getting posted on social media.
I mean, there's already one Columbus podcaster that's his narrative about FC Cincinnati fans is that they always leave early, but I think it's just it's weird for him to see people actually at a game.
They were bailing in droves earlier this year when because that game
they're the most special bunch of snowflakes.
I don't know.
They never ever classy, just the very best people.
It's already hell was real week. This was not planned at all. We can't even help ourselves. We're just tearing into it already. But we got to stop. We got to get. Brian has asked for this segment for like 4 weeks because he has been dying to talk about the goalkeeper spot for FC Cincinnati, and I get why, because you have brand new center backs. You've had knocks and different things going on there. You've had another player playing during Leagues Cup. It's just trying to figure this all out. So we thought we'd bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Dallas J, and he's swinging in. I gave you a grand introduction at the top of the show, Dallas. I don't know if you caught it because I don't know if you were in yet, but
I was in. I was back out, so I missed it. Hopefully, you had good things to say. Hopefully, you mentioned one of my shining moments in the FC Cincinnati jersey when I got the red card from the bench. Took my penny off in front of the Bailey on my way out in anger. But no, pleasure to be with you guys today. It's always special to get to interact and kind of relive the glory days of what was a special time for my career, and obviously getting to see where the club has gone and everything it's doing now.
Yeah. Well, it's not just nostalgia. We're going to put you to work tonight because we want to.
Please. Let's get into it.
We want to talk about goalkeepers here. FC Cincinnati. Roman got the job after an injury last year to Alec, and he just did a great job, and he's really held that position all on his own. I think fans last year had very little to critique because there was a strong center back line. You had Miazga doing well, but you get to the playoffs and Miazga gets suspended and things start to fall apart. This year you've had so many injuries. What's it like as a goalkeeper when you have no idea who your center backs are going to be week to week? Because I think that's kind of how the situation we find ourselves in right now.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky thing, and it's you talk about obviously chemistry, camaraderie, all those things you need throughout a lineup of 11 players, but really that center backs goalkeeper, that's kind of a bond, knowing each other's tendencies, knowing just the little communications you need back and forth. So when you have guys kind of in and out of the lineup, obviously you're training with them day in and day out, but you can't, it's different in a match. It's always going to be different in a match. And you talk about Roman, a young pro, a great young pro, who's had a fantastic start to his career, has benefited from having sort of these veteran presence in front of him, guys with a lot of experience. With FC Cincinnati, it's interesting, right? You can have two center backs. Sometimes there's a 3-back system. There's different scenarios that you get put in, but from the mindset of a goalkeeper, you feel so much more comfortable when you got two guys in front of you that well, they're going to bail you out when you need them to, and then you're going to bail them out when they need you. But you think about a long season, you think about international breaks, you think about all the injuries, the different things. You have to be able to be flexible and deal with the guys coming in and coming out. It's part of it.
When we talk about this from week to week, and we've seen again, he's coming off an injury early in the season, a rotating back line. At what point, we've talked about his leadership as well. And so leaning on Matt Miazga for the last season or so and his leadership seems to be what's happened, that leadership, there's a void now. At what point is a goalkeeper, a young keeper like Roman, who's kind of lived underneath the leadership of someone like Matt Miazga, expected to really step up and take that position, especially with 2 or 3 new guys that are new to the team, even newer to the team than he is, coming in this late in the season?
Yeah. No, it's a tricky thing, and for me, I'm I think about, I can only go off my career and kind of the experiences I had, right? So for me as a young pro, I was a second string, a third string. I had Mitch Hildebrandt in front of me. I had a couple guys in front of me when I was in Phoenix, so I kind of had time to grow into that pro mentality and wasn't forced to be in a leadership position early. Where you talk about a Roman who's he's playing games in his first, second year in the league. Once you are kind of that out and out week to week guy, doesn't matter if you're 22, if you're 34, like you're expected to take on a leadership role. Whether that's his personality or not, I don't know him personally. It's funny. Roman was first on my radar when he was at Indiana. He had this clip that went viral of him making, I think it was like 3 or 4 saves in one clip. And it blew up in the soccer community, but in the goalkeeping community specifically. So he was on my radar a long time ago. And then it's awesome to see him now in an FC Cincinnati jersey. But, it's a fortunate thing for him, but it comes with a lot of responsibility, right? To be a young pro getting minutes as early as he's getting in MLS. And he's very fortunate, though, in my opinion, to have a guy like an Alec Khan in the locker room who can guide him. You think like, I got the NFL on in the background, right? So you think about these situations where you have these young rookie quarterbacks, and they always want to have like an experienced older guy in the quarterback room to kind of help guide them along. I think for a Roman, that's a great scenario to be in. You have a guy like Alec who's been around the league forever, had a lot of great success, that can really help him with the other stuff, not the goalkeeping on the field stuff. Yes, they'll do that in training, but the leadership, the mindset, the ability to navigate a long season, deal with injuries, all those sorts of things that Alec is coming done, and now Roman is experiencing for the first time at this level.
Dallas, yeah, you're talking about sort of the communication between your center backs and the goalie, as well as the communication between veteran backups or even veterans as the first keeper. Maybe just as a general question, are there any particular traits that you think separate the elite goalkeepers from the rest of the pack in soccer?
It's funny. I feel like the margins are so subtle and so small, but it's for me, what I've seen, and granted, my ceiling came right just underneath MLS. It was a lot of success in the USL, League One, USL Championship, but got to be around a lot of the MLS guys and guys, in various countries and other things. But what I always found, the guys who really just set themselves apart from the rest, they were just really good at all the little things on a way more consistent basis than everyone else. And we're talking margins, little fine lines, but these guys are just day in, day out, consistent, clean. Like, it's not showy, it's not flashy. They just literally just get the job done week in, week out. And that's why you think about the position. That's why when these guys go into a starting role, it's so hard as a second string, as a third string, as a guy on the roster to displace them. You almost have to wait around for an injury, which no one hopes for, but happens, or a bad run of form. But those are the guys that don't have the bad run of form. They stay consistent, they keep their job, and suddenly you look back and now they've been a 5-year, 10-year, some guys 15-year starter in these leagues forever, and no one can kind of take their spot.
That brings up a good point. You were talking about like you're playing in the USL and playing in college, and what makes the elite goalkeepers separate from the rest. But having been a professional, having played in college, what is some of your advice maybe to the young keepers out there that are looking to maybe take that next step as they get older?
Oh, I mean, it's fun. So I've been retired 2 years now. My way of staying around the game is TST, where Brian and I got to hook up and play with Natty SC. But I still coach. I still do goalkeeper coaching. Got to coach here at my local youth club in California, out here in the Bay Area. With all these young keepers, it's a bit for them. It's ability to kind of just navigate the mental part of the position and realize you're going to give up goals, you're going to make mistakes, but it's such a fun job because you're getting to do something that no one else on your team is able to do. You are the unique one. You are the one that is doing the job that can be thankless at times, but when you pull off that big save, when you have that big moment, it kind of makes all of it worth it. And with the younger keepers, for me, it's just, it's building their confidence. It's like any position. It's like any walk of life. The more confident you are, the more you're enjoying something, the more you're going to grow and become better at it. The tricky part is it is a position where confidence can get lost like that multiple times over in a training session or in a game. It takes one moment. It takes one goal. It takes one, poor pass or poor distribution. So finding that middle ground with the younger kids is something I try to do when I'm coaching them. But it is cool for them. There's so many great American goalkeepers, so many great keepers in MLS, so many kids, great players for these kids to look up to. Like for me, it was Tim Howard, it was Brad Friedel, it was Brad Guzan, it was these guys. But for the group now, I'm like, they got more professional teams than we've ever had in the U.S. They can go to games. It's so much more accessible than it was, at least when I was a kid. So it's all there for them. It's all there for them to go find. It's just a matter of really finding the love for the position.
Yeah, Dallas, I'm coaching keepers at our local high school. I know we've interacted a little bit on that, so appreciate your advice there for sure for young keepers. I do think the confidence and the ability to just shake things off and forget good plays, forget bad plays plays a key role. One of the questions, or one of the things I've talked to my keepers about this year, and we saw it just a few weeks ago, another shot from Luca Orishano from behind midfield, right? And so one of my questions is that as keepers begin to play more with their feet, they're playing higher up the pitch to support their center back for that pass to just kind of, open up space, release the pressure that's coming at them. Will we see more of these long range distant shots? Do you think that's part of the way the game is evolving as keepers evolve and push forward more? Or is that still kind of that out there kind of shot that we may not see often, but it'll happen from time to time?
It's interesting you say that because I just saw there was one incredible goal, by the way, from where he did it was unbelievable. But you see more. I saw one from I want to say it was NCAA Women's Division I this past week, and like almost half field, and it got me thinking that similar thing is like, are keepers just naturally playing higher because they're forced to be more involved in the attack? Is it kind of what is it? And I think one is we just see more clips because everything's on TikTok and Instagram nowadays. You see all these goals way more than we probably did in the past. But I think it's always, as a goalkeeper, it's always that cat and mouse game of, in order to protect something, you're going to be giving something else up. So if I'm going to protect the space behind the back four for that distribution that may come over the back that I can come clear with my feet and be a sweeper keeper, I'm going to be giving up something behind me. So you're almost playing those odds. Like, what are the odds they're going to try to slide a pass through my back four that I can come help clean up versus the odds of them trying to go over me? For me, I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy. I, played as – it was funny. I played for Coach Harks, John Harks, in Greenville for a number of years. Obviously, he was in Cincinnati for that inaugural season. But he always wanted me to be up higher and higher and higher. And I was like, John, this is as high as I can go, man. Like I'm uncomfortable up there. It's almost like altitude sickness when I get that far out. Every goalkeeper, I feel like, has their style that's going to suit them. So for some, they can be really high off their line. They can deal with that, and they may be more at risk for that one that goes to the top. Some may sit a little bit more conservative, may not be as great in the sweeper keeper role, but they're going to protect the space behind. So it's all give and take. It's that cat and mouse game. But I was fortunate in my career. I think one hit the crossbar. I never got done for one over the head from deep, but they definitely got close.
Oristano's 2 for 3. You remember he tried one in the All-Star game too. So he's 2 for 3 by himself.
So that's, I mean, when you think about it at the higher level, it's different at youth, but even like college,
Right.
like if I'm playing against a team where I know they have someone capable of that and they've done it, that weighs on your mind. So maybe you are sitting a little bit deeper at that point. If I'm playing FC Cincinnati, yeah, and he's on the ball specifically, I mean, that should be a trigger right there. I'm going to drop a little bit, or I'm at least going to be ready to get back.
Yeah, I think it'll show you who's watched tape and who hasn't about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
He had no idea. It's just the way it goes. Half the team wasn't even ready for that kick, and then even when it was shot, I think most people didn't think it was going anywhere. I have a question for you though, because I used to scoff at this idea of a goalkeeper union. Because in my mind, I'm competitive. I've played on sports teams before, and I always wanted to start. So when you see like a second string or a third string goalkeeper and they're all getting along and having fun, and I know like some of it's social media by the club, but in soccer, especially certain groups, it definitely feels like the goalkeeper union thing is pretty real. But still, in the back of my mind, I scoffed at it. And then I think the moment it kind of got real for me was when Celentano got the starting position, held the starting position, and then you have, to Alex's credit, he has taken the number 2 spot gracefully, even just recently signed a contract extension. So he wants to stay, and he wants to stay backing up Celentano, knowing good and well he's not the number 1 guy. Just tell me a little bit about that. Am I mistaken? Is it truly a real thing? But like, how do you balance competitiveness with also wanting your fellow keepers to do well?
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's a balance. I think with goalkeepers, there's a unique personality trait that comes into play when you're talking about people who are willing to play this position. So you have that common ground with this group that you're interacting with day in, day out. You're off to the side on a different field while your team's training over here. You guys are always kind of isolated with each other, and it's such an interesting dynamic of they become some of your best friends within that locker room. They really do a lot of the times, but you're directly competing for what you all want to be doing, which is being the guy on the field, being the number 1. And I was very fortunate in my career. I was part of great goalkeeper groups. That's not always the case, but I was lucky. Dan Williams, Mitch Hildebrandt during my time at FC Cincinnati was such an interesting dynamic because you had Mitch, who was the veteran guy, the experienced guy, had 2 incredible years, 2 best years of his career. I mean, he would tell you that himself. And for me, it was like, I want to be the guy on the field. I want to be doing that. But look what I get to do. I get to learn from this guy who's finally got his opportunity, because he was a backup mostly in Minnesota prior to coming to FC Cincinnati. So I'm like, all right, I'm the backup here. Let me learn from him and then take it to, so when you have guys who go about it with the right approach, I think that's what creates this stronger bond. Like I had Mitch's back. We for part of those 2 years, we didn't have a goal. Jamie Starr was a goalkeeper coach for a big portion of those 2 years, but he couldn't travel to a lot of the away games. So when we were in a away game, it was like, Mitch, it's you and I'm going to get you your warm up. Like, what do you need? Like, you kind of had to do that because I knew if I was playing, I'd want it from him. But I think about, I came across Evan Loro in the USL quite a bit, just as opponents. But we all know the same guys. I've heard a lot about him. I heard he's a great guy in the locker room, great dude. So you think about the dynamic that's building there. Spencer Ritchie's a great example because he's at Chicago. He's the number 2 mostly. He's behind Chris Brady, Chris Brady is a great young talent. He was in the USL getting loaned down when I was in League One. And it was funny. It was actually, we came down neck and neck for a Golden Glove award at the end of the season. And here I was rooting against a 16-year-old to give up a goal on the last day of the season. So, but a great young talent. You have a Spencer who goes in there. He's getting games here and there, but he's mostly backing up Chris. And I don't know if you guys have interacted with Spencer personally, but an incredible dude on and off the field. And you just kind of get these sort of guys, and that's why they're in this league or in these leagues for so long. They stay around as backups, as third strings, and as starters. But the reason an Alec Khan has been so respected and in this league for so long is because if he's now the number 2, he does it with respect and class and just goes about it the right way. So the guys who are able to do that, they stick around. Yeah, there you go. That's a great looking jersey. And I think that's when you get these stronger bonds, is you get these really solid pros, these guys who they know how to go about what is the interesting dynamic of a goalkeeper group.
Boston, I thought you had heard enough and you were getting up and you were done. So you came back with the jersey.
No, if he's going to gush over Spencer jersey, I'm going to show him my prized possession, which is this signed USL game worn Spencer Ritchie jersey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, Spencer's great. We love him. And honestly, I think we've been fortunate as fans to have the keepers we've had. I honestly can't remember fans genuinely like hating on a goalkeeper group that we've had in any major period of time. Like, I think right when we came into Major League Soccer and we had kind of like an unstable position there, that's the only time that fans seem to be mostly disgruntled with, but they were disgruntled about everything,
which is impressive when you think about it, because if there's any player, any group of players that's kind of easy to go after, it's typically the goalkeeper. So but that's a credit to the club. It's a credit to the people they bring in. You guys get to interact with them on, I think, a level that's a little unique in pro sports. Like, you guys, there's always such good guys that come into Cincinnati, at least during my experiences and everything I've seen. So at the end of the day, yeah, the keeper may give up a goal, but he's a good person, a good dude. Like, he's doing his best for the club. Like, that's, as a fan, we want to see wins, we want to see results, but people at the end of the day, right? I mean, I look at a Roman, young pro, finding his career, but 10 years from now, I think you'll look back and this kid's he's taken the league by storm. I think he could be an option one day for the club to potentially sell and get a great ROI on what was a great draft pick and help develop his career.
Yeah. Dallas, I wanted to kind of go a different direction. Last question I have for you is, I want to go back to TST for a second, which is where, you and I first connected. We chatted there, did an interview that lost audio and all that fun stuff. But there was a moment, I think one of the fun things about TST is you get to play against big time professional soccer players. And you also get to play against big time professional football players, American football players. And there was a moment as JJ Watt is barreling down on you. I just want to know what is going through your head in that moment. We talked about Boston ending up potentially on social media as a meme when he's leaving a game early in Columbus or whatever. But I saw a lot of JJ Watt running into you on social media. Talk about that moment and maybe the fear, or is it fearlessness in your head at that moment?
It's so funny because TST in general, I've done it for 2 years now. When Mike Millay first hit me up about it 2 years ago, I was like, dude, what is this? What are you even talking about? We can win $1 million. Like, Ocho Cinco's playing for our team. Like, I was like, I'm retired, man. I don't know if I want to jump back in goal. And he's like, dude, the goals are smaller. Don't worry. And I was like, all right, I'm in. But yeah, this year was just so much fun. We put together such a great group, but JJ Watt in the first game, you don't know if he's going to play or if he's just kind of signed on to the team as like, a marketing thing, but he comes in, he's bigger than you even expect. And that moment, it was funny because the ball's hit, I see it coming, and I kind of like, I'm watching the ball, but I give that little glance down and you know exactly who's coming your way. And a ball, a floated ball, something I would normally go up and I can claim and I probably hold pretty well. I was like, not even going to try to catch this. This is going to be a punch. JJ Watt's coming at me. And I kind of like braced and just kind of got to the ball, and that was it. And took it like a champ. I popped back up. I was like, I'm not going to stay down. Part of me regrets not like, I had a buddy before. He's like, man, you should have, if you get around JJ, you got to like have a flag in your pocket or something. You can pull out and throw the flag. And I was like, man, there's the one part of that clip that I wish I would have added in, but he was awesome about it after. We had some interactions on social media and I got to see him again. But I can forever now, and I'll probably phrase it a little differently, but I can forever now say that I've been sacked by an NFL Hall of Famer, which good soccer career, but that's going to be the highlight going forward.
Did it hurt?
it didn't hurt as much as I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, because he kind of half landed on me, but it was
Mm.
more just contact. I mean, as keepers, right? I got my knee up. I protected myself. I took care of all that, but I kind of wish he would have just absolutely leveled me even more, because it would have made the moment that much more special.
Yeah, but you don't want to end up like Justin Hoyt and injured as soon as you get down there.
That was heartbreaking.
I know.
It was funny seeing, a lot of guys who, yeah, we may still do this from time to time, a coach, but you're not doing it at that, because the level at TST is actually surprisingly high. Guys get after it, and when you're putting together a few days of training and now 2 matches in a day, and like, we don't do it like we used to. So the bodies go quickly. I mean, I had to miss the last game due to kind of a knee injury that luckily didn't turn into anything serious. But it's the fact that we had fans, that we had people travel there. It was such a fun way to come back together for the club, represent the city. Very special that we still get to do that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's good to have you swing by. I want to sit here and talk to you for another half hour, because honestly I could, but apparently we've got this big rivalry match and we got to cover it. So we'll let you out of here.
Listen, I appreciate you guys. The fact that I got to come on during the Hell is Wheel Rig is super special. As you guys were chatting about it and I was off screen, I was like, I remember the GB double doink. I was on the bench for that. It's just a special start to a special rivalry.
Yeah.
So I know where I will be watching this weekend, but supporting the club, and appreciate you guys.
Nice. You're welcome back anytime. Seriously, if you just want to hop on here and take one of these guys' spot, that's
Absolutely.
totally fine.
No, Brian and I are in contact. Maybe I can grab a old face, a Jimmy and Andrew Wiedemann,
Yeah.
Aiden Quinn, a lot of the guys that we have our group chats, we still interact. So I'll bug some of these guys, see if we can get them on.
What if one week everybody thinks we're gonna show up here and then it's just like 4 of you guys goofing off for an hour?
Just swapping old stories.
We'll just teach you how to run it, and then you guys can just do the show, and everybody will like that a lot.
It's gonna be fun for us. It's gonna be a way to catch. It's hard to catch up. We got guys having kids now, and busy lives, jobs, so that could be something.
All righty. Well, thanks for swinging by, Dallas. It was awesome.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Dallas.
All right. See ya. And I hope you enjoyed that segment. That was really fun and a great idea Brian had. And really, I mean, I think we need to do more stuff like that, right, Brian? Dive into actual topics that's going on with the club. The one question I wish we had time to ask him, I wanted to ask him how a player like Roman can improve distribution, because I think like that's a big concern fans have had. But we'll get him again. He's going to come back, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Jason wanted to ask him about the red card, the story behind that. I would love to ask him that the next time, Jason. So hang on to that one.
We need to have like maybe in the off season we can do this, where we have like FCC legends, where maybe we can get him to tell that story. I'd love to get Mama Subes on and talk about the time she was kicked out at Louisville. Like just fun stories like that. Cause the team's going to be 9 years now. There's some fun stories we can throw out there.
I still want to hear how they got like the inflatable wavy arm guys into Slugger Field.
That's a great
days after the hurricane came down in Louisville.
I can ruin that for you. I know how they got in.
No, that's an
okay. We'll save it for another time.
I was there. I was sitting right next to him. No, that was an awesome segment, and Dallas is a great guy, and we're still friends with a lot of those guys, and Brian reconnected again, and he's probably better friends now than all of us, because he went down to TST and got to hang out and do really cool stuff with him. So we appreciate that. All right, guys, we're gonna skip best and worst. Hope you didn't have any. The worst is that FC Cincinnati didn't play. There, I did it for you. And the best is that we finally won a game versus Montreal. We want to give a shout out to our main sponsor, who will forgive me, I hope, for not mentioning them at the top of the show. We had Dallas, and I'm sure they understand, because they're great, and they've been sponsoring us for years. Apollo Home, if you have an HVAC, plumbing, or electrical need, reach out to them. They have been serving Greater Cincinnati and Southern Dayton for 110 years, and would love to help if you ever need anything. And that is, they truly are pretty awesome. And they stay in contact with us and listen to the show regularly. So shout out to a local business that helps a local podcast. All right. guys, briefly, we won versus Montreal. I think it was 4-1. Basically, the Orshano show. We touched on it a little bit with the miraculous goal, but also got himself a brace. Santos with the closer, and that pretty much was a done deal. We looked like FC Cincinnati again, and we did it without Lucho and Yedlin, right?
Yeah.
We did. I wanted to talk about, just for a second, my worst was our fans this week. I know we said we're skipping it, but it has to do with this game. And I wanted to talk about it, so I'm going to squeeze it in here. The two shots that came off of deflections, the two goals that came off of deflections, I heard so many of our fans, almost everyone I talked to, go, we scored 4 goals, but 2 of them were kind of own goals, kind of deflections. And I don't know. I took offense to that. Like, these guys are shooting on frame. They're shooting on goal. That's why you do it. Sometimes it takes a deflection. It wasn't a Matt Miazga pass directly back into the goal like we saw earlier in the season. These were legit shots on frame that if our guys aren't taken, we don't score the goals. So I just wanted to mention that this disappointment in our fans, but I do think it's good to see, Kevin Kelsey getting a shot on frame. It took 2 deflections. I think it was on frame the first time. It deflected away, hit somebody else. And so sometimes those mistakes that defense makes are the ones that count. And as long as the ball crosses the line, it's a goal.
Yeah.
If anything, it's harder because it's kind of like a trick shot, You got to bounce it off of people and get in it.
I think I actually heard that Kevin Kelsey called that shot.
Yeah.
Who's mad at the Orshano kick through the wall goal? That's awesome.
I heard several people talking about that, and I think it was going near post till the guy jumped up and hit it with his elbow to the far post, but it was on frame.
What is it that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Wayne Gretzky, quoted by Michael Scott. The fact is, you got to kick that ball at the target. If you and that's the thing that we've really hated about FC Cincinnati sometimes, is that we've seen the likes of Baird, we've seen the likes of the entire striker squad not taking the strike when they see it, trying to see if they can figure out a different way to approach something when it's just straight down the middle.
Yeah, everybody trying to be Lucho and wait for the perfect goal.
Yeah. It was good though to see, since we're kind of talking about this game a little bit, it was good to see Kelsey get off the schneid though. That's a guy that we need to produce, and he, whether it was just the formation or what, he hasn't really been able to get a lot of playing time nor get any goals recently. So to see him and Santos be able to produce, that fills me with a little bit of optimism as we head into the stretch run here for the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't care that it's just Montreal. Any game you can win with Lucho not on the field, because this team has struggled to do just that. And it didn't matter who the opponent was. It didn't matter if it was Chicago, New England. Winning a game that much with Lucho off the field is a win, is a big win.
I think they said this was the first MLS game that they won without Lucho. I think the games that they had won before without Lucho were League Cup games.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we were 0-10 without Lucho on the pitch for MLS games prior to this.
And then the big L, there, the only thing that is stopping me from celebrating and jumping from joy and running out last Monday and jumping on this podcast, even though it was a holiday, was those 2 yellow cards, man. Those 2 yellow cards that keep half our center back line on the bench for Hell is Real. Not even on the bench, in the stands. So, killer. If there was some way to get out of this unscathed, we just can't find a way. The good news, Lucho's back. But Yedlin's back. And then even Assad might be back, which is huge news. If you've been waiting for that out there and you haven't heard that he's back in practice, that could be the silver lining that FC Cincinnati needs, because he was playing lights out, if you remember, right before he got hurt. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but that is a possibility. And then, of course, as we get into Hell is Real, we'll talk about where Lucho is and how good he's feeling, because we haven't seen a perfect game out of him in a while. But can we get by without Robinson and Murphy? And don't look at the new guy, Teenage. He's on international duty, and I don't even think he's got a visa, so there's no salvation coming there yet.
Part of me wanted to question like what role Kip Keller is going to play. I think we've seen earlier this season that he just doesn't have 90 minutes in him. And I was wondering if he would come in as a substitute to fill a spot for Robinson or Murphy. But then I also thought if he gets a red card in that game against Montreal and when he subs in, then we don't have him for Hell is Real either. So I think it was wise of Pat Noonan to try London Aghedo on the left in place of Murphy. And he hasn't looked bad. It's going to be tough against a Triforce like Columbus's offensive support, but it's good to see him come in and actually get some minutes.
Is that your reasoning for Agato coming in? Because I did wonder this, and I saw some fans theorizing that Kip Keller has been passed over.
I don't know if he's been passed over, but I think my theory is I would rather bring on someone who could use the minutes and sort of show himself up than to bring in someone and risk a red card on someone you could really use for Columbus.
Yeah.
So you're starting Keller, and you think he has to have a big role. Is that what you're saying?
I'm contemplating Keller coming on late. Maybe like you use Powell half the game, Keller half the game.
So our three center backs, then you're suggesting Powell on the right, Awazium in the middle, and who on the
maybe Yedlin somewhere. I'm not sure. Yet he's shown that he can play the back.
The
problem is when
Yedlin CB experiment again.
When we tried him on the left, he was beaten pretty bad, if I remember, against Nashville, maybe. So I don't know.
London on the left side, or does Keller start and bring London in late potentially? Like, we're really thin there at that center back spot this week.
I think right now you don't do anything with Cheeto. He's in the middle. He's your go-to guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see 45 minutes on both sides from the other four capable pieces.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe we do start London. I'm not against it.
I don't know. I mean, this is feeling a lot like, I'm not sure which one it was in Columbus, but there was a game where we didn't have, I think it was last year, we didn't have Mosquera and we didn't have Miazga in that game. And we got pummeled 3-0. So I am, sort of like, oh, this is looking just like that again.
Geoff.
Yeah. Can't run and hope all day.
It's not just you. There was someone put on the FC Cincinnati Reddit page today. Have you heard anything about Teenage's visa status? I think that's the only thing that can save us from a 5-0 loss. So fans, and I'm not that pessimistic, but there is a belief out there that we can't do this without, Robinson and Murphy.
Well, weren't we missing at Columbus this year? Weren't we missing somebody pretty key as well in that match? That people were like, "Oh, it's going to be tough."
Was that after Miazga's injury?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't off the top of my head.
I could look it up, but I don't feel like it. So,
but we're missing this many pieces. I think that's that issue with a team like Columbus that's so hot right now, and a striker like Cucho Hernandez finding gaps potentially in an already thin back line that hasn't played together consistently. That's what worries me. So if we have a chance in this match, it's going to be a shootout, I think.
Yeah, I think you're going to really need to rely on Obi and Buka just to be absolute pains in the butt against Columbus. They're going to, and that's something I like about Obi when he's 100%, is he can be very physical and he can take out guys, not in like a bad way, but he can just kind of throw them off their game. And that's where I think this is going to come down to is what is Obi and Buka capable of doing.
Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
cut it off before it even gets to the back line.
You got to do the same thing you did in Columbus. I
Mhm.
mean, you saw the Columbus forwards, and doesn't happen very often, just absolutely frustrated and furious because the midfield was just knocking them off the ball and doing a great job when we played there. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't stellar, amazing center back play when we were there. It was just scoring, and then you can't let Columbus do what they want to do, and they're already so deadly. They're already a great counterattacking team. They can score. They have 5 guys that can easily score on you. They're a lot like last year's FC Cincinnati in that way, where it's just like, well, if Lucha doesn't get you, then Barrial's going to get you, and Mourinho's going to get you. Whoever's going to get you. So we also have plenty of scoring players, but I think the difference for us is that we maybe don't have the forwards that Columbus has, at least right now. I would put their attacking crew above ours. I just think we've got the midfield because we've already proven it. We've got the midfield.
I'm looking at the lineup that we had. It was Kubo, Baird up top, Acosta in the middle, Orshano and Powell on the sides. We didn't have Yedlin for that game. I think he might have been injured. Nwobodo and Buka in the middle, then Murphy, Miazga, Robinson, and Celentano. So I don't see Assad. I don't see well, of course, I don't see Bupenza. But I do see Kelsey was there, of course, coming off the bench, scoring his first goal. So we've got pieces that we're missing, just not the vital pieces that we're missing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the biggest difference, if you haven't watched the Crew since the last time we played them, they have changed over their team a bit in the summer window. So they sold who?
They sold Aiden Morris.
Aiden Morris, and then they got.
I believe they replaced him with someone pretty good, though.
They've got Rossi now. Did they have him in the whole time?
They had Rossi that last game.
So they've added a few players. I just remember them having a pretty fantastic summer window. Nancy's just good at attracting talent and then finding talent. Even players that are free agents that are kind of around the league. I will say he's up there with Pat Noonan and Chris Albright. I don't know who their general manager is, but I think they've done a fabulous job this year. And really the Eastern Conference as a whole. If you look at Miami, who can just have Messi call his buddies, they have an amazing way of attracting talent. The Crew are doing it the good old fashioned way and attracting talent, but kind of interleague stuff more. And then FC Cincinnati has, I think, done a good job of going out and figuring out what they need at times. Not everything's always a hit here, but we've done a decent job overall. And then maybe a drier summer window than the Crew, which, I don't have to remind fans about.
I think one of the biggest things that the Crew did is they brought in DeJuan Jones from the Revs. He's been a fire stick for them off the bench. And once he gets put into his spot on the wing, he's going to produce, I think, something that you're not going to be able to focus on just the middle. You're going to have to focus on the wings as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the best things Columbus did this year is put a midfielder in the goal. If you missed that was pretty fantastic. And I think if they do that again, we have a shot in this match.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a normal goalkeeper on international?
Yeah, and then
duty, and
they have 2 on international duty.
And the backup's suspended.
Yeah, so they're going to have to get a 4th string goalkeeper,
or somebody comes home. But yeah.
Well, and that was the story, is that they couldn't bring up more than 4 goalkeepers. Like they're like, well, we want to bring in somebody from Crew 2, but I guess you can only bring up 4 during the season, and they brought
4 second team players.
That was it. Yeah, and they brought him up for a friendly against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm like, you count the friendlies? That's weird.
Yeah.
It's a stupid rule.
How stupid is the Crew for not paying attention to that?
Yeah,
save
us. It's a stupid rule, but it is a rule nonetheless that y'all got burned by. So,
but again, so
hard to feel bad for you.
how do we, recover from a knee injury to Matt Miazga, a broken ankle from Nick Hagelin? Like, we didn't see that stuff coming. They've got 3 goalkeepers on their roster. 2 were called up for international duty and 1 gets a red card. Like, that's just a random series of events that is unfortunate for them, and I'm pleased with that. But yeah, right. So we'll see what happens this week. I'm curious. I guess one of them has to come home. When does the international window close? Like, the United States last game is tomorrow, isn't that right?
Yeah.
So he could be home.
Considering that they're playing in Cincinnati tomorrow, Schulte's not going very far to return home, so he can stay in Cincinnati if he wants.
Yeah.
You get to see what a real city looks like.
I'm checking their the Columbus News. It does look like they've got something going on for this game, so they have sorted it out. But probably still need to go at it. If neither one of those keepers is coming back from international duty this week, they probably have to go to the very slim pickings free agent market that no one, like, basically grab a goalie no one's picked up all season.
Mm-hmm.
That's claims that they're still fit. And
hey, get Dallas back on the front.
I mean, Patrick Schulte doesn't fill me with a ton of like fear and dread either.
Haven't you taken the ball off of his foot twice and scored goals?
Why he's on the national team is beyond me. Well, I know why, because he's a Columbus guy and Greg Berhalter liked him. But yeah,
you could probably get like a loan from a USL team for a week, right? Find a USL team that's not playing this week. And
I mean, yeah, he'll be back. Schulte be back. I'm not sure where the other guys on international duty are playing, like, around the world, so it might be tough for them to get back in time. But
I mean, you guys are scoffing at Schulte as being not up to the speed of even Roman Celentano because of the last game. Have you seen Columbus's goals for and away? They've only given up 28 goals this season. That's lowest in MLS. And that's after the 4 they gave up against Seattle. So this is not a team to scoff at. They have a really good defensive line. Rudy Camacho is playing a heck of a job as your center, your keystone for the center backs. The team is not somebody to scoff at. I think the goalkeeper is one thing, but you can't dismiss the defense that Columbus is playing this season.
I mean, I'm not scoffing at Columbus in any way, shape, or form. They're a very good team. Their fans don't deserve them. But, I think the fact that this is Major League Soccer, this isn't like Brentford rolling into Manchester City. And we beat them here last year. But for guys running out of gas, go to MLS Cup. And then we beat them at Crew Stadium or lower.com mortgage arena this year. So, like, I think, yeah, they're probably the favorites going into this match, but at the same time, I don't have the existential dread that I think a lot of fans are running around with. And to be perfectly honest, kind of makes me mad that there are fans running around with existential dread. Like, yeah, you don't want to lose to your rival, but at the same time, like, this isn't, like I said, this isn't like a huge chasm between these two teams. They're literally 1 point behind us in the standings. So
1 game. Yeah.
1 game.
3 points, I think.
2 points, 1 game. So yeah, not anything that I'm too worried about.
I do think the Joys here, they probably knocked themselves out of the Supporter Shield race last week, but if they didn't, we will have the distinct pleasure of putting the nails in the coffin, I think. I mean, I'm not too pleased about handing Miami the Supporter Shield with this win if we win Saturday, but it's still better, I think, than giving Columbus fans the hopes and dreams of chasing it.
Yeah.
If we win, we clinch a playoff spot too, right?
Oh yeah.
And we definitely put separation between us and them because they have those games in hand. Their fans are quick to remind you all about their games in hand. So winning there that gives us a real shot at staying on top of second place for going to the playoffs. If we can put it all back together, if the Montreal truly was the ending of the slump, then you beat Columbus. I think a lot of pundits say, "Oh, okay, Cincinnati's going to be ready for the playoffs."
And Columbus doesn't exactly have an easy schedule either. They have to face the likes of us, Orlando City, they're taking on Inter Miami, Philadelphia, even finishing up at Red Bulls. It's not that easy of a schedule for them, but if they want to take Inter Miami down a peg or two, we certainly would appreciate that.
I think we haven't really talked much about shape and formation going into this match, but I think one thing we do have going for us now is Gioacchini coming in, and he's not, again, the striker that we maybe were looking for and hoping for, but he is a striker that we have heard from flyover footy. We've seen him last week in a couple games now. He is another striker that plays well with the second striker up top, and I think Kevin Kelsey does the same thing. So if we can get those two working together well, and we get a Lucho back that is anywhere close to 100%, he makes magic happen, right? And so if he's got two guys running together as connected strikers in front of him, I think we can open up some space on that back line against Columbus that maybe we haven't seen in recent matches when we've had to shift guys around and play the sword formation and leave Kevin Kelsey up top by himself, where he's got no one else to work with. So I do think we have some things going into this match that we've maybe overlooked a little bit, that we might see some things happen.
And you've got Orishano, who, in the last time that we played Columbus, he was still fairly fresh and new to the league and not really feeling himself. And what we've seen over the past few weeks with Luca, he's feeling good, and with a healthy Lucho and Luca on the pitch at the same time, I mean, there's not a lot of teams that can match up against that.
Yeah. Luca's good for a 50-yarder, any match, you can count on that. Kevin Kelsey playing pinball in the box. We could make this happen.
In a way, it would be nice to win this one. I mean, obviously, but the one that really is going to, and I just have this feeling deep in my gut, we're going to see him again in the playoffs. So,
oh yeah, we'll definitely see him. I think we're going to see it if we don't get knocked out, early on in the playoffs. We're definitely going to see Columbus again.
Yeah,
they don't get knocked out early on in the playoffs.
And
it's MLS Cup playoffs, baby.
Rupesh is wondering what you're smoking, man. So we're going to see Columbus go far.
This stuff is legal in Ohio now.
I think it's more likely we see Columbus than Miami because of how crowded it is going to be, those first few spots. Who takes fourth? I have no idea. I think Cincinnati finishes top 3 at this point, unless like some wheels seriously fall off. But that leaves Miami probably always playing the weaker team. So Cincinnati and Columbus will inevitably face before Miami gets to either one of us. That's neither here nor there. But one thing I was trying to do is because I realize we're already at the top of the hour, but any of you guys going out to Hell is Real? You able to make the game? Big one.
Gonna make the game. I unlike you, Boston, I didn't make it up to Columbus. I sold my tickets to Tommy G and somebody else. So Tommy G's kid got to sit in the.
Oh, I was gonna say I saw him up in the box. What? You had box tickets?
No, he got into the stadium that way, and then
cool.
Tommy G worked his magic. Anyway, I was happy to help. I don't think I've missed since living back here in Cincinnati. I don't think I've missed the Hell is Real at home. So always excited for that match because, you get to see all the Crew fans walk down to Cincinnati and be like, oh my gosh, not in the suburbs anymore. They're not having a lame tailgate in an empty field. They're actually enjoying restaurants and bars and stuff. So
anybody seat improve? Anybody trying to get a new seat? Are you all happy where you?
That's later this week.
Yeah.
I'm finding the press box.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Them free tickets right there.
I will say I don't know if I want to be in the press box this week. I'm up there for the Crew game. The last time I was up there for a Crew game was the conference finals. So
Somebody fill in for Geoff.
Anybody that wants to get me seats, period, that would be an improvement. So
I had my seat improvement today. 10 a.m. and let me tell you, there are not a lot out there. But what's interesting is as people change, then new ones pop up. So it doesn't really matter what time your seat improvement is.
Yeah.
It's like what time you happen to check it with what's available. So like as I'm logged in right now just because I was remembering it, and I was like, because I'm trying to get a stinking aisle seat in my own section. I've been trying for 3 years. And I can't seem to get one. So I've checked multiple times today. Got close. There was one 2 from the aisle. But if I'm moving, I'm only moving once. And so I just it's either going to be aisle or nothing here. I like my seats a lot. I just want to move down 6.
I
have this feeling we're going to have
aisle seat.
I have this feeling we're going to have some like bonus show of like fantasy seat booking from Boston, trying to figure out the TQL Stadium nooks and crannies.
I hope one of our listeners out there got the Brian Weigel seats. They're gone. I noticed earlier today 2 seats were open next to our co-host Brian Weigel, like, right where he sits in the end zone. And for half a second, I thought about snagging him just so I could prank him all season long next year, but it wasn't worth it because his seats suck. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He loves his
Sorry
seat.
for those listeners that bought those tickets.
I think I'm like 7 or 8 rows above Brian. They're actually pretty good seats.
They are.
I'm on the end, and I get a nice breeze coming in through the concourse, so it's pretty sweet setup.
Everybody's got their thing. I'm just not a watch from the goal. I love it for one half. It's the best half ever. You know, watching the ball come at you, and go, you know, especially if the goal's scored on your side. I just get all mad the other half of the game. I'm like, what are you guys doing way down there?
If you've ever gone to an NHL game, because they play 3 periods, you go to buy tickets, it'll have on like the diagram of the arena, like, I don't know, because I went to a Kraken game up in Seattle last March, and it said like Kraken will play on this side twice, so that's the one you want to be on. And there is a premium for that section.
I believe it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, United States play at TQL Stadium, U.S. men's national team tomorrow. I look forward to seeing that with all the fans that are going. I will say ticket prices are dirt cheap. So if you want to go, you can probably snag them for a fraction of what someone who bought them during the pre-sale got them for. Because the tickets in my section are going for 3 times less than I bought them for, which is a bummer. But at the end of the day, you jump early on dynamic pricing. Sometimes you get bit. Sometimes you win if they keep going up. But this is not the time. The Olympics, I think, has put a damper on. Is that a good theory? The Olympics has kind of killed all buzz around the U.S. team.
I think we're in between coaches right now. We're waiting for the manager to sign and see what he can do. Right now, we're just in between.
I think part of it is also, we're not qualifying. We're already in as the host nation, so the games that we play aren't going to be important unless they're really close to what we get. So things like the Gold Cup, that's going to factor in more than all of these friendlies that they're playing.
Yeah, but you want to feel like they're ready, right? Like it's too early. I agree.
They're not ready. They are not ready.
But and they still haven't solidified their coach yet. So
they got a couple years to put it together. Oh, yeah. It's amazing how I can have so different polar opposite feelings about the U.S. Men and than the U.S. women. The U.S. women, I feel like, are back on top of the world. So because they are, but they also look just so put together again. So kind of crazy how it's like enthusiasm swings alternate ends of the spectrum. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here? I'll throw it to you guys.
Where's Bupenza playing now? Boston? Do we know?
We were debating that before the show.
I wanted to throw that out there. Yeah,
there was like a switcheroo midday today. I don't know if anyone knows where Bupenza's playing.
I'm expecting that a cappella group to come in and start singing, "Where in the world is Aaron Bupenza?"
Yeah, a cappella.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, it was a team announced Aaron Bupenza, and it went around social media. FC Cincinnati fans were like, "Yay or nay," your usual hoopla, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, no, he is not. But it's very rare you see a club in any country announce a player and then it come out that the player is not going there and is in fact going to an entirely different country. So we have an email in our CST box right now from a very respected journalist in Romania asking us what the heck happened, because they are also, I kid you not, he said, have you guys ever seen a player announced and then completely back out and go to another country?
No, but we've also never seen a player get in a fight with a professional boxer at 2 a.m. at a bar and get his jaw broken. So there's a lot surrounding that individual that we've not seen.
But I have seen a team hire a very famous soccer player as a coach and put out the entirely wrong picture in the announcement.
I was about to go in that direction. Yeah.
So Jason, you're coughing this up to an overzealous social media team?
Yeah. I used to do that kind of job, and I know sometimes you just get really excited and someone tells you you're good to go, and it turns out they were wrong. So
I mean, if you look at the announcement from I think Zamalek in Egypt, it doesn't look like Bupenza at all. It almost looks like they tried to make it look like Bupenza. They were expecting someone else, and so they touched it up, and it looks a little bit like Bupenza, but not quite.
Maybe by next show
his head
we'll know for sure whether Bupenza's in Romania or Egypt. But as of right now, my guess is the second one.
Does it really matter to us in the end?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We're not getting anything out of this, right?
Entertainment. Free entertainment. Bupenza delivers again.
Although I was telling Geoff earlier before the show, it is interesting to see that when I looked him up before the show just to see which rumor was more legit and true, and it said transfer from FC Cincinnati to Zamalek, transfer from FC Cincinnati to it was really a transfer because he really isn't a part of our team anymore.
Transfer in the sense that we put him on a plane.
Yeah, he transferred himself from point A to point B.
With a little help from the league.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy. I don't know if we ever talked about that. Other teams were very upset that we did not have to use our buyout. I'm talking like way more upset than I thought. There was a lot of social media buzz and it wasn't even like Eastern Conference teams. You had a lot of stick in the mud, Western Conference, and then Minnesota fans especially, because they had to use they had this whole thing happen with one of their players, and they were.
But he was transferred though. Are we talking about the number 10 for Minnesota?
Right, but that's their whole point, is why did we have to go through 2 months of him running around a different country when he's supposed to be on our team, and then apparently like MLS could have just fired him, but they didn't, and we had to get stuck with that whole thing, and then Cincinnati just gets to say bye the moment he doesn't play go to practice and go to team. So
yeah, there was a little more than missing practice there, I think. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think a lot of us noticed, but if and it blew over quick, but there were a lot of salty MLS fans around the league.
Yeah,
people did not like us getting out of that contract so easily, and my point to them was, and I think I said this on Twitter or Reddit or something, was, who cares? We still lost our butts. Like, we paid a lot of money for this guy, so like
we finally caught a break.
Like, yeah, we don't have to pay even more money, but we're not celebrating over here in, an FC Cincinnati land that, we threw away X millions of dollars. Fans, I think a true fan would say, I would rather have picked up $4 or $5 million that we can go spend on another player, because it makes the pocketbooks bigger. And FC Cincinnati usually go spend that money again when they get it.
Yeah.
All right, we are off on a weird tangent now, but thanks for tuning in. thanks for sticking with us the longer than normal show. And thanks to Dallas J for swinging by and giving us an awesome interview. And we will try to do more stuff like that here in the future. Tell us if you enjoyed it. Give us that feedback, and you'll push us a little further, and you'll have to make Brian go dig into all his other contacts from TST and bring them on. We now expect Chad Ochocinco to be on the show, so get to work, Brian. And we will see you all again next week.